Come on, B. Can you name this one?
I've never heard this song in my life.
Are you serious?
I've never heard this song in my life. Well, I always guess. What band do I always guess?
It's the same
What's
one.
the number one?
U2.
The same band. So I'm going to guess U2 again.
Baldy?
It's unbelievable, Bonte. You got it. You got that right.
Do you know who the lead singer is?
No.
Stop.
No clue.
Stop.
No clue. Who's the lead singer?
Come on.
I mean, Baldy.
Who's the lead singer?
I'm trying to. He's short.
Well, that
Baldy.
helps me, Baldy.
He wears glasses.
There's a lot of short guys.
I'm trying to think what hint
Yeah.
you could do.
Short. I'm going to look this up. I want to see how short this guy is right
short.
now.
I want you to look it up, and I want you to read it on there. Look at his face.
Yeah.
If you're on YouTube right now, Bonte.
Irish rock band, Dublin. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, Bono. Bono, yeah.
Bono.
Bono. Bono.
Bono.
Edge.
Steve Bono. He's the lead singer of U2.
I was thinking Steve Bono.
To defend Bonte in this,
Oh, my
I'll never
God.
forget this story. So,
B-O-N-O.
John Madden.
I love you.
John Madden used to always, obviously, be on the bus.
Right.
Yeah.
So, they would, back then, when John started, like the Bears were a hot team, 85 Bear, all that stuff. So him and Summerall would be in Chicago. So he had a place at the Dakota in New York.
Okay.
East Coast presence. Okay. You do a game in New York, stay in the city, then start traveling to the next game. He had a place in Chicago. So at the Ritz-Carlton in Chicago,
Okay.
he had a residence.
Okay.
All right. So, and then, he had his normal place up in the Bay Area here, Pleasanton. So, anyways, the Rolling Stones, Bonte, were playing in Chicago, and the Stones were staying in the Ritz-Carlton.
Okay.
So, like, my buddy Mike Frank was kind of like, he traveled with John. So they're in an elevator, and Mick Jagger is in the elevator. And everybody's asking for getting off the elevator, everybody's just buzzing. Mick Jagger, autographs, pictures, all this stuff. And John had no idea who Mick Jagger was.
What?
No idea. Like, he was a little bit like, now, John wouldn't know rap either. He just didn't know anything about pop culture.
Boom.
He knew that. He knew that.
By the way,
He didn't know pop culture at all.
his documentary, though, I miss John.
incredible.
It was unbelievable.
man.
Made me cry.
Yeah.
We played the video game for years. One time I saw Matt, he used to chill down on 3rd and Mission, downtown San Francisco at Pete's Coffee.
Yeah.
Just sit there.
Yep.
And one day I'm like, John, honest to God, I sat there for 15 minutes, talk football with John, and I thought in my head, I was like, man, I should get a picture. Now, you know what? This got to live on forever.
Yeah.
And we interviewed him later on in 95-70 game, but like, him,
That was John.
Like, you kind of, I'm not kidding you, Baldy. You remind me of a new age Madden.
An ambassador of
An
football.
ambassador.
Yeah.
I mean, the way you break it down,
Yeah.
the way you, fist up, fourth
Yeah.
down, let's go, get off the field.
Yeah.
Like, it reminds me of John Madden.
Yeah, I was influenced by, I went to work at Fox in 1998. And me and Kurt Menefee were like the lowest team. But we always had these seminars in the summer. And John, the whole thing was run through John. Like John, his presence about the game in front of the commissioner, in front of coaches, like nobody had a more powerful presence in the whole game than John.
Is he the most influential coach in the history of the game, or is it Bill Walsh? Is it Belichick? Like, coach, I know what he's done in terms of as an ambassador. Who would you say is the most influential coach as to how the game that you're seeing today is being played?
Well, I think John, John coached 10 years.
Yeah.
And then he retired, 42.
Yeah.
And then he went into broadcasting. And so, John felt like 10 years with any team, like the message is going to get old, and so he moved on. But I feel like obviously Belichick and Bill Walsh have left their imprint on this game in so many different ways.
Shula?
Tom Landry. There's,
yeah.
George Howells. You go through the history of the game, and there's pillars that have been influential for 20 years or longer. But I felt like John's impact in the game, Thanksgiving Day game, like the personality.
Right.
Nobody's ever announced the game better. Like, him and Summerall were the best team ever. They tried to
Totally
so,
agree.
Like, I'd never forget like something so simple. Like, so this would be Madden Summerall. So, they're doing the Philadelphia Eagles and whatever, and it's a national game. And John says something about the Bear defense.
Yep.
And Pat, of course, says, "What's the Bear defense, John?" And he goes, "Well, that's when they put Reggie on the nose and they bring the safety down. Waters comes down, he plays the linebacker, and blah blah. And in 15 seconds, he explains the Bear defense.
It's incredible.
Like nobody could communicate better than John.
In my mind, all I could think of is him breaking down the size of the spikes on the cleats at Candlestick. Yeah. And I was just like, oh my God. And they're interchangeable. They got the 2-inchers and then they got the 1/4 incher. And I was just like, this dude makes me care about cleats.
Well, he basically made everything entertaining.
Yes.
It could be the heat coming off Nate Newton's head in a cold weather. It could be the way somebody chews on a mouth guard.
Exactly.
Like, everybody has their John Madden moment when he would just make people that nobody talked about into stars. Now, I kind of do that, talk about, so like I don't know how, I know in San Francisco they do, but I don't know that people understand how good Dre Greenlaw is. Like, I did a breakdown of Dre Greenlaw. Like, he leads this 49er team in tackles, solo tackles. Like, it's allowed Fred Warner to even do more in ways. And so, like, but John would do a 49er game, and he'd go, this guy, Dre Greenlaw, he's the first one to the ball. Like, he'd just show you his speed.
And you know what, Baldy? Like you, Madden, the players would say, like Lawrence Taylor in that doc was like, when I knew Madden was calling the game, I had to give everything I had. Yeah. Because Matt was in the building. And it feels like that with you. I see you on the sidelines before the game. You're at MetLife a couple weeks ago, and it's Sauce Gardner smiling from ear to ear. No, like, man, Baldy's in the building. Quentin Williams, who I love in the middle. And Shasky knows I wanted Quentin Williams over Bosa. Now, Bosa's a freak of nature. Yeah. But Quentin Williams is having a nice career. Yeah. He's turned his career around. And I see the players, the way they gravitate towards you.
There's kind of like they did.
There's a respect level.
Yeah, I agree.
There's respect. But I was, John always believed that you had to get to know the players.
Yeah.
So that's why he would come, like, people that worked with John, he was a bear. Mm-hmm. Guys that, were on the bus, and, like, when he went to meetings, like Summerall, I worked with Pat for a year. And so he would tell me these stories, but, like, he'd have these meetings, and, Brett Favre couldn't wait to come to a meeting. And they never talked football. It would be about his uncle and growing up in, Kill, Mississippi. And so he just wanted flavor and color. And he just wanted to get to know the people. Like, so he could he could share that with the audience.
And Summerall and him were so beautiful. Look, we're going to get back into that in just one second. If you're out there, 888-957-9570, let's line them up. We're going to do rapid fire on the 49ers. Ask Baldy anything. Let's get all of your opinions. Line up the calls, and we'll rapid fire, and we'll get some music underneath here.
Don't forget shameless shout out, 745.
Beautiful. On Summerall, I was listening to the 1969-1970 NFC Championship game, the first ever one. Yeah. Dallas Cowboys versus the Niners at Kezar. Final game ever at Kezar for the NFL.
Yep.
And Summerall is the color guy, not the play-by-play guy. Yep. And it blew me away. Yep. And I couldn't believe it. And then hearing him as he got older, and that's what we grew up on, I didn't realize the backdrop of him being one of the color guys. The way he would paint the picture and allow the television.
Let it breathe.
Yeah, let it breathe. He was a cloudy Candlestick. It's 51 degrees, and Steve Young's coming out, John. And he was just so monotone, yet brilliant. And that to me is football. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
Jerry Rice, touchdown, and he just let it breathe.
Yeah.
And then Matt comes in over the top, bringing it down.
I remember I was doing a Bear game with Summerall. And, it was like, it might have been an opener, maybe it was a season opener the year that we did it, 2002. Anyways, we're in Chicago, we're at Soldier Field, and the producer is jamming all this stuff in Summerall's ear. It's a new producer. It's different than the guy that he had with Madden for all those years. And so we got a flyover. We've got like this national anthem. Like we got all this stuff going on. And I can just see Pat's just like eating popcorn. He's just chewing up popcorn. Some girl's like knocking the kernels off his sweater. And so anyways, we're into the final countdown, right? We're going to come live here. We're opening up the season, the whole thing. So Pat just leans over to me and he goes, Baldy, are we leading with the Bears or the Lions? I go, we're leading with the Bears, Pat. So literally 5, 4. And all of a sudden there's a scenic of Chicago. And this is what Summerall says.
Yeah.
He goes, Chicago, a great American city. Boom, like that.
But it hit.
It just, I never forgot that. Like, I get goosebumps. Like, out of nowhere, Chicago. Who knows? A great American city.
Unbelievable.
And it just set, I was like, I'm working with the best ever.